Thanks. I swear by customer experience. That's a note. Thank you everybody for making it here. And thanks Aditya and Kamya for the introduction. There are many things for digital that we can talk about in the next few minutes, but I'm here to tell you folks a story. Story which is anecdotal in nature, which has some real world examples, which has some very interesting things that are being done out there, and some things that we see as a future in terms of digital marketing and technology. The theme for today is Decoding Digital for Revenue and Advocacy. Sounds a bit complicated, but it's fairly simple if you look at it from the lens of the customer. So, to begin with, since we talked about the fact that we are taking an oath for customer experience, and the customer experience does not start at any point A and does not end at any point B. It's a continuous process, and it's a race that needs to be run by every marketer and every technologist that cares about experiences. So I thought it would be apt to talk about, start by talking about the concept of a 4x100 relay race. It's a race which is not dependent on one ace runner. You require a team to succeed, and you require that team to be successful consistently over the period of the entire race. So when we talk about the customer, we talk about certain stages in the customer's buying journey. Any customer, whether it's B2B, B2C, goes through this journey before they make a purchase. Whether it's buying from an e-commerce site or buying a service from a consulting company, the journey must be undertaken, and the marketer needs to address that journey when they are making their plans and strategies. For the sake of simplifying things, I've kind of bundled this journey into 4 major phases here. One is selection and purchase. The other is service and retention. Third one is loyalty, upsell, cross-sell, and then there's advocacy. The interesting thing here is that when we talk about a team, a baton being passed from one stage to the other, from one runner to the other, the key thing here is that if the baton gets dropped, or if you don't do a clean transition from one stage to the other, the race is unsuccessful. You might have very good individual runners, but you'll never be able to fulfill the customer's needs throughout their journey, and therefore not be able to maximize lifetime value. And it has many bends, curves, peaks, troughs, pit stops, refuels. When we talk about an F1 race, you can't go back. If you made a mistake, you need to start all over again. And you have to negotiate every bend, every trough, and every pit stop with equal agility, with equal skill, and with equal technique, because there is no shortcuts, and you can't really go back and start unless you go back and really get out of the race, which you can't afford to do with your customers. The interesting thing is that with every such race and every such runner, the key thing here is what's really behind the scenes. What are the tools that they really need to be able to run that race successfully, or drive that machine over the entire lap successfully and come out as a winner? It requires a bit of fire in the belly. That fire in the belly is not just because you're great, you have a strong heart, you have a will to succeed, and you want to be competitive, but it also is driven by what you eat, how you train, what are you wearing, etc., etc. So there's a whole machinery that's working in the background, which really pushes the runner, the driver, to that extra mile in order that they win the race and not just stand second, third, or not even able to complete the race. The interesting thing here also is that when we talk about these backroom boys and how they prepare these competitors, there is a lot of things that are going on, which we may or may not see, and the similarities with digital don't end there. Right from the outfit of a Formula One driver, to every attention every piece of attire detail, the glove work, the headwear, everything requires pinpoint precision and needs to work in sync and in harmony for the competitor to be successful. Now how does that happen? It doesn't happen by chance. There's a process behind it, there's technology behind it, there's a whole lot of people with a whole lot of skills that are driving this one single person or a team to succeed. And while there are a lot of mavericks out there who've been there and done that, I mean, folks like Michael Johnson, the only guy in the history of athletics to be part of a 4x100 relay team, a winner, Olympic medalist, gold medalist, and also a 200-meter champion. So these guys are mavericks. And a lot of marketers that are in this room and outside are also very skilled, have a lot of potential, have a lot of talent, and have proven expertise in pedigree. They're all successful in their own rights. And they are being driven by a machinery. All of these guys are being driven by a machinery, and that's not very dissimilar with marketers. So what's this machinery that we're talking about at the end of the day? We kind of put it very similar to what an engine room would look like. This engine room comprises all the backroom boys, the staff, the technicians, the technology, and everything that goes behind the scenes in order to make the guy successful or the team successful. When we talk about decoding digital, the core idea is to look at this engine room in the context of digital technologies. The folks at Luma out there do a great job. Every year, what you see here is a collection of digital marketing platforms across social, email, marketing automation, content management, analytics, and what have you. And this stack just gets heavier, heavier, and heavier. So, we'll soon come to a point where, a slide like this would not be possible to show because there'll be so much to show. But they do it religiously every year. The key thing here is that this Lumascape is what comprises your engine room, because this is really what drives at the front end what you go and accomplish with your customers. Now, because of so much of data around, it's nobody's business to put in a rack of servers at your data center or on premise and really expect that infrastructure to support you in your acquisition, retention, or servicing goals. So therefore, the engine room is your set of marketing and digital technologies, and that's your true engine room, supported by big data for marketing, big data for sales, for customer service, and for support. Broadly, the 4 areas that a customer really faces in their lifetime when interacting with any brand, any product, or any service. So why do we need an engine room at all? Why is it so complicated, or does sound so complicated? Do I have to invest so much just in order to run my digital marketing successfully? Well, the short and sweet answer is yes. We may like it or not, but I talked about fire in the belly. If you have fire in the belly but don't have the right backup, you're like a deer in headlights. Look at the numbers here. These are numbers from India. And I'm sure a lot of you folks have seen these numbers many times over in the past few years. You're seeing an explosion right now in India and elsewhere in Asia. India is not too far behind globally. And these numbers are staggering, in terms of what's going on in this country and what is supposed to happen in the next few years if the same trends continue. We are officially the number 2 economy in the world, with the kind of mobile percentage of total internet traffic. And in terms of e-commerce, the story is even more sharply in focus as to what the numbers truly look like. So you're dealing with a big beast here. It's a very different animal. Just see mass of the animal itself. Your customer base, your customer is out there. 300 million users. Rural is growing by the day in terms of internet penetration. People are using different languages, and what is interesting is that the mobile population is growing by the minute. And you can buy a smartphone for $60 in India, and you can transact, and that individual with a $60 smartphone can lend a GMV or a gross merchandise value of somewhere like 1 or 2 lakhs over a period of 1 year. That's like unbeatable ROI. So we're dealing with a different beast, and if you are not prepared for it with the right backup, then you might be losing out. which brings to mind a few important questions. When I look at these numbers, and I keep looking at them, from time to time, I feel that, for somebody not to have a responsive website, this is like table stakes. So if you don't have it, then you're losing by the minute. Look at the population that's accessing your websites or your digital properties from mobile devices. The second question that comes to mind is, especially for a country like India, are you already regional or multilingual? If you're not, then you're potentially losing an opportunity, especially for those folks out here or outside who are selling products in rural areas in India or plan to sell products in rural areas or tier 2 cities, tier 3 cities in India. If you are not multilingual, then you are losing out on a massive opportunity. And then you might be running a lot of campaigns, you might be running offers every single day, but are people able to access everything that you're offering, everything that you're saying? Are they able to access it, consume it easily, seamlessly through their mobile devices? If the answer is no, then I suggest that you do something about it immediately. Then the numbers just keep boggling you. IRCTC, which sells train tickets, it's the official government body which sells train tickets in India. They recorded 500% growth, in the number of tickets booked per minute in the past 2 years. We are an e-commerce industry that's looking to touch 15 billion, basis what Google is estimating. And if the new government is serious, by in the next 4 years, we'll probably have so many villages that are already, on the internet. So the message is loud and clear. The message is for us to grasp and act on. Which brings a few other questions and perspectives, right? One is about multi-channel marketing campaigns. So when people buy, whether it's B2B, B2C, they don't buy stuff in isolation. They will look at every message that you have. And the reason why they will look at every message you have at every channel is because it's the way people are, it's the way your customer is. And my co-hosts and my co-presenters rather will delve into this aspect in detail in the presentations to follow about the new customer and how they behave. I'm sure a lot of you folks are already experiencing that. But just to kind of put a mirror to things here, if you're not running multi-channel marketing campaigns, if you're not able to have your offers out to the right customer and on the right device at the right time, then your competitor will definitely do it, and that's a lost opportunity. And every lost opportunity means that you're losing potential LTV. For retail and e-commerce players, you're losing potentially a lot of GMV, which is gross merchandise value. And then, when I look at an e-commerce industry which stands at 3 billion, I'm wondering how many people would be abandoning shopping carts, for instance. I assume probably would be a huge number. And for those who are in this business, if you are abandoning those who are abandoning your carts, then you're potentially losing out on more than you're gaining. So these questions come to mind. They disturb me. They keep me awake when I think of how the future of marketing in this country is going to be, especially around digital. And I'm sure a lot of marketers would kind of agree with that kind of a thought process. Now, we talked about decoding digital at the start of the session, and I thought it would be a good idea to talk to you about a few stories. Which will kind of show you how digital can be used or how it has been used by people out there to impact top line, to increase the velocity of marketing so that you're able to roll out offers, campaigns, programs, content quickly and seamlessly across channels, across devices. We look at how digital can impact bottom line through service, support, retention. That's a very important part of business. And then we'll also look at how technologies can be stacked up together to work in unison, and how they can potentially drive things like loyalty, advocacy, and referral. Like I said, a lot of good people are doing it. A lot of people are on the path to doing a lot of things, and I felt that it'll be a good few minutes to talk about what's going on out there. So first example that I've taken, and I've taken examples from India, from outside of India as well. The first example I thought would be very relevant which is about eBay. Crowdsourcing is not new. A lot of people have been doing it, especially large companies, especially in the manufacturing space, e-commerce space, or the product space in general. The example that I picked up for today is one from eBay where they ran an entire idea about developing the new concept for a new product. And the way that they did it actually is very interesting. They reached out to individual contributors, they reached out to partners, they reached out to customers, and they also reached out to their internal stakeholders who were responsible for product, and they assimilated all the information. Now you can imagine the kind of numbers and the kind of data that they would have gotten in return. So they chose the cloud model, and what they did was put in all the data there from different touch points, from different contributors, from different devices. And then what they did was assimilate all that data. Once they assimilated the data, they extracted analysis, they ran it with their contributors, with their communities, and with their customers, and they sought feedback. So that was part 2 of the process. Part 1 was the genesis of a new idea. Part 2 was A/B testing the new idea. So they threw it to all these stakeholders and said that, hey, here's what we've got. Here is the gist of it. Why don't you guys give some feedback as to whether you like it, you don't like it, what is the improvement that can be done, what else would you like? And that was the second cycle of it. It took about 3 to 4 years for them to accomplish this exercise, but at the end of it, what they got was visibility from both the buyer and seller side on a product. They got product which potentially met every customer's needs. They got a product which was highly contributed to. They got a product which was recommended, rated, and selected by a large cross-section of customers, contributors, and community. And finally, what really happened was that the numbers are really telling. I don't need to even go into them. It's a very celebrated case study with eBay. I would encourage you folks to Google it and read it. The entire case study is much more than 30-40 minutes for the presentation. But I thought it would be a good idea just to give you a snapshot of really what the possibilities are with crowdsourcing. So direct impact to bottom line, to top line. So we talked about that. Now the other key aspect where we've really seen a lot of challenges in my current role, in my current agency, we've come across a lot of, we work with a lot of global brands, and one of the recurring challenges that they face is about the global versus local scenario. A lot of brands that we work with are multinational, they're global, they have businesses in a lot of countries, but when it comes to, look, I want to launch this service, this product, this offer, or this campaign in a particular country within a particular time frame, and get my ROI, my results, track them, and hopefully use that as a beta to more successful launches in the future. Well, when they try to do that, they run into some challenges. What are those challenges? Well, let's talk about them. Not a very amusing picture, but typically with a large global brand, it's a case of a lot of guidelines, it's a case of a lot of things to be followed, etc., etc. And quite often the little brother or the local country, the local region gets trapped up in all this entire framework stuff. And try as they might, they can't roll out stuff on time. So it's a big challenge, and one that impacts a lot of big brands. The second part is that you can't expect Audrey Hepburn to look like Madhubala. So even when you're talking digital, it can't happen. So what's the way out? How can you find a solution to it? A very, very interesting analogy that I found was that you have a big bowl and you have a small bowl. And you cannot change how the fish looks. So what you do best is that you take the best of both, but at the same time be agile. How do you be agile? A very tactical thing, very small thing. People who are in the digital domain will understand this. Let's talk about a website, a mother website and a country website. How do you do a country website quickly in the space of a month and roll out your campaigns and offers, or even a microsite for that matter, without really having to depend too much on guidelines, frameworks, and all of that stuff? You can do it using frameworks. In technical parlance, these are JavaScript frameworks. These sit on top of your website system. So if you're using a content management system for that matter, these will sit on the content management system. These are frameworks or libraries that can house a lot of components. So the mother website may have 5 components that you still need to maintain, but you need 10 local components on your website. How do you do that in the space of 2 weeks? Well, the answer is you use these frameworks. And these frameworks enable you to put those local components and controls in and just go ahead and launch what you want to do. Be agile and don't waste time. So this is a small example of code, really, or decoding digital towards impacting, agile marketing. The other interesting feedback that I have is, how many of you like cookies? Great. I have some company. I like cookies. I like the oatmeal kinds. Lately, I've started liking the gluten-free variety. So the time for cookies, so since the time I've started having gluten-free cookies, I have kind of moved to JavaScript. So this is a lean, mean cookie, if you will. And how it helps is that, suppose you have a product service, you want to get real-time feedback and want to incorporate it into your loyalty program, into your retention program, want to integrate it with your CRM. How do you do that? You can only do that when you use things like JavaScript, some smart-ass code on some different websites, aggregators, partners, community sites, social platforms that you have, or your own websites, e-commerce sites. Once you use this kind of code, you can get feedback in real time, and you can actually take that piece of feedback and feed it into 3 other systems, which will give you the desired results. You can innovate in real time, and you can service in real time. Attach this to an IVRS system or to your call center, and there you go. You get feedback, and you get a response from the from the actual, from the company or the brand talking to the customer. So it's a time that cannot be wasted, and therefore, by using a very small tactic digitally, you can do a lot by integrating it with other systems that you may already have. That's bottom line, which is very important. You acquire a customer, run the labs with the customer, but when you want to really make money with the customer, that's when the bottom line really becomes important. So using code smartly can actually impact your bottom line. The other is, how many of you have heard of a company called ZipDial? They're an Indian company. Nobody? Okay. So we talk about smartphones all the time. The one thing which really struck me about ZipDial is phone smarts. So they really use a phone smarts approach. You call ZipDial, you give a missed call to them, and what they'll do is they'll send you a message with an offer, a joke, or a directory of hotels in your neighborhood, or some new shows that are coming in your neighborhood. All those are packaged in the form of offers, and you get those immediately when you make a missed call. After that, you can go ahead, take an offer, probably avail of it. You can also refer friends through SMS, or make them call the same number, and they'll fall in the same cycle. A few companies are doing that. We've started doing it already. The example of FreeCharge is very good. They've already started doing this. You can download their mobile app by giving them a missed call, and from there you move into a screen where you can actually renew, pay, refer, do all of that. They're pretty soon coming up with social integration as well. So people are already starting moving in this direction where they are combining different stacks, different technologies to drive loyalty, advocacy, and referral. The other example is of integrating social with gaming. So imagine going into an Amazon, logging in through your Facebook, and trying to, you already have a purchase history. Now, what if you can start playing a game from within your login on Amazon with 5 of your friends? There's a leaderboard, and the leaderboard it works like, if you refer 5 more friends, you not only get more offers, but you're able to also play a game within your 5-friend network. So in a sense, what you're doing is, through a Facebook login, you're shopping on Amazon, you're playing a leaderboard game with your friends on Amazon, and at the same time, you're upgrading your points, you're getting more offers, and you're also getting referral points. So that's an example of how social and gaming can drive loyalty and advocacy. People are doing it out there. The example of Tencent in China, in the land of the Baidus and the Alibabas, they're doing some explosive stuff on digital. They're combining social, mobile, and gamification in order to drive referrals. So So there is some exciting examples that are going on, but again, the point is where do you start and how do you start, keeping in mind the numbers that you're looking at, in this country. The future of LTV or lifetime value, or one of the points that will really become important in the future, is probably around integrating real-time platforms with your marketing strategy or your sales strategy or your service strategy, right? So one of the examples that I've picked for today's presentation is of IVRS. A lot of people use call centers, not just for sales, but also for customer support, service, etc. Now, what if you let's say if you want to run a referral or a loyalty program with a large existing customer, probably a very B2B example that I'm giving, but imagine selling a service into a large B2B customer where you want to grow your business. So you want to run a loyalty program. So reach out to a lot of stakeholders, let's say through a direct mail or through an email program to a lot of stakeholders in the company, and then have them call into an IVRS. Now, you can direct them to a landing page also, but let's say if they call into an IVRS, and that IVRS is integrated with an account-based marketing platform, you get real-time insights that are fed into the ABM platform. Now, the way ABM works is completely on real-time data. What your customers are saying about your loyalty program goes into the ABM and enables it to send communication in the future in an automated way to the same set of customers within one brand that you're targeting. So it's a mind-boggling area to get into, and people are already making advances into it. ABM is probably the future of a lot of B2B marketing. So I felt it was a relevant example to kind of quickly share with you folks. So finally, running out of time here, and to conclude this keynote, the things that I primarily talked about is the engine room, which is digital. It used to cost ₹7.50 to send an email out, acquiring a third-party data contact and sending out an email. It used to cost ₹7.50 in 2010. Today it costs ₹3.30. So the only costs that are coming down are on digital. Everything else costs more, whether it's an event like this, a newspaper advertisement, a radio spot, or a TV ad. So everything is going up. Digital is actually coming down because of the way the model works. So the engine room has got to be digital. The second thing is the foundation for a good engine room is based on data superiority. If you are data blind, then there's no point in doing multi-touch marketing, multi-channel marketing, because you really can't see, you really can't predict what's going on with your customers. And the later presentations that we have today will delve into this area. You can't risk a surgeon, the best surgeon in the world, with all the best tools in the world, if the surgeon is blind. So, the best marketers cannot market successfully till they have data superiority and they trust digital to be their engine room. So, in conclusion, I would say that digital is a game of people, process, and technology, backed by strategy, backed by management support. But if you don't have data superiority, you might have the best creative, you might have the best process, and you might have the best platforms in the world, but all of them are really working down blind alleys if there is no data superiority. So that's all that I have to cover. It's my pleasure to actually lead this into next session with Greg, where he's done a lot of work, especially in this area, combining strategy with technology and with management support. He's done a lot of excellent work in Australia and Asia Pacific, and he'll walk you through this session after this. Thank you, gentlemen. It's a pleasure talking to you.